The Pixel 6 Pro could be the best value phone to buy in 2024, and I'll tell you why. So I've been using the Pixel 6 Pro on and off for the last couple of weeks, and just recently I've had it as my full-time device in New York City for 3 days using a T-Mobile SIM on the 5G network. And my overall experience during my time away in New York City has been absolutely great. The phone has been an absolute pleasure to use, and I'll just start by talking about the display on the Pixel 6 Pro. It's a 6.7-inch AMOLED display with a fast 120Hz refresh rate protected by Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, which is also supported on the back of the phone as well. And it's a really nice vivid display, plenty bright enough in the bright sun in New York City, and that adaptive refresh rate has been a real pleasure to use. Everything about the display has been really smooth, apps open really quickly, and I've had no touch response issues or anything like that. You get some super slim bezels, of course, around the phone, as to be expected from a 2021 flagship phone. And of course, in 2024, that's about what you'd expect from a flagship as well. So overall, I've got no complaints with the display of the phone. Of course, you get that stock Android experience, but I'll go a little bit more into the software in a little bit. And then the rest of the design of the phone, as I said, the back is Corning Gorilla Glass Victus as well. And then you've got the Pixel's typical camera visor on the back as well. And I've got the phone in the black. It's also, of course, available in that coral sort of color, and it's available in white as well, but I do actually really like the black. And I did use a Caseology case on the phone as well, which has been a really great case, and it's given me some really good protection. So overall, the design and the feel of the Pixel 6 Pro is about as premium as what you'd find in 2024, and it definitely is much better than any of the budget Android devices that are newly released later last year or even this year. The materials are super premium, and like I said, Corning Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and on the rear as well for some really great protection. And the performance of the Google Pixel 6 Pro has been absolutely fine as well. The first generation Google Tensor has been absolutely fine in my use. It's a really powerful processor. Of course, they've had the second and now third generation of Google Tensor in their newer Pixels, but the first generation Tensor has been absolutely fine in the Google Pixel 6 Pro. And with the help of that 12 gigabytes of RAM, performance has been absolutely flawless. I've not had any stutters or anything like that, no slowdowns, no instances of apps opening slowly or anything like that. The only thing that I have had, and that was mentioned in initial reviews when the phone first came out, is some thermal issues. The phone does heat up quite considerably if you're using maps for a long period of time, or if you've been using the camera for extended periods of time. The phone does get quite warm, and that inevitably did affect the battery life just a little bit, but overall, again, the performance has been absolutely fine on the Pixel 6 Pro. And of course, the Tensor chip does come with all that machine learning, which does adapt to your usage. So over those 2 weeks, the battery life has got better. It wasn't great when I first started using it, but over time, as the phone learnt my usage patterns, it's been absolutely fine, and it did get considerably better. And it did last me a full day in New York using the camera quite a lot and using maps because I had no idea where I was going. And again, that was all on T-Mobile's 5G network. So I was ending the day with roughly 30 to 40% with around 3 to 4 hours of screen on time. So no problems at all in terms of the battery life. But like I said, it's not as good as what you'd find on newer phones today. And charging speeds for me personally aren't something that I really look at too much because I do charge all of my phones overnight. But you do get, I think, 30-watt charging on the Pixel 6 Pro, and that is plenty enough, I think, just to get a little bit of juice in a pretty short space of time. But for someone like me, it does charge up overnight, and that's been absolutely fine. And the Pixel 6 Pro is running the newest Android 14, and you do get guaranteed software updates until the end of 2024, I believe, and then guaranteed security updates on this phone until October 2026. So even if you buy this phone now, you're getting at least a couple of years of extra security updates, so you will be absolutely fine with all your online banking and all that sort of stuff with the security updates. But of course, past that point, I probably wouldn't be considering a 6 Pro. And of course, there are plenty of videos on YouTube explaining all the features of Android 14. So of course, check those out. I personally won't be making a video of that. But yeah, there's loads of them available on YouTube if you want to know the ins and outs of Android 14. And lastly, onto arguably my favorite part of using a Pixel phone, and that is talking about the cameras on the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, of course, when the Pixel 6 range were released, Google deviated from that usual 12 megapixel camera that they've used on many generations before that in place of the 50 megapixel primary camera. And then that is, of course, backed up with a 48 megapixel 4x telephoto camera and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. And unsurprisingly, the photos from the Pixel 6 Pro I found to be absolutely great. They've got the usual Pixel look, high dynamic range, high contrast and extra sharp photos, which I do prefer to a lot of other cameras on the market today. And color profile switching between those cameras is exactly the same as well. It doesn't deviate at all from that. You do of course see when you're looking through the viewfinder before you take the photo that the quality of the image isn't going to be particularly great, but then of course when Google's processing sets in motion, it does produce some really great photos. And when I was away in New York, I did take the S21 Ultra with me as a comparison as to 2021 flagships. So here are a few photos side by side, Pixel 6 Pro and Galaxy S21 Ultra. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these photos. And then video produced from the Pixel 6 Pro. Again, of course, when the Pixels were released, they weren't known for their higher quality video, but I did take a few samples when I was away in New York and I did find the video to be pretty good. Nothing spectacular, but then of course, coming from using an iPhone, anything is gonna be inferior to that anyway. But yeah, I think the video on the Pixel 6 Pro is absolutely fine. And then of course, the photos have been absolutely great. I still really like using a Pixel. And then of course you get an 11 megapixel selfie camera on the front of the Pixel 6 Pro. And if I was to pick anything that I didn't quite like about the 6 Pro, it'd probably be that selfie camera. I do find that the photos are a little bit too contrasty and a little bit too sharp for my liking personally. I did tend to find myself using the main camera to take selfies with my other half when we were away. So that's the one main thing that I would say that I didn't quite like about the Pixel 6 Pro, but other than that, it's been absolutely fine. So that's my look at the Google Pixel 6 Pro in 2024. And overall, I still think this is a great phone to have even 3 years later. You've still got a really premium design, a bezel-less 120 Hertz variable refresh rate on the front. Of course, you've got great battery life, not the fastest charging in the world, but it's enough for me. Timely software updates and another couple of years of security updates, at least on this Pixel 6 Pro. So overall, a really great phone to have, and I picked this up for just over 200 quid in really great condition. There's hardly any marks on it at all. So I think this is one of the best budget phones you can buy in 2024. Let me know down in the comments if there's other budget phones that you think are better value than this, especially older flagships, and if there's any others that you'd like me to take a look at. And subscribe to the channel if you're interested in videos like this. I've got plenty more on the way, and I'll see you in the next one.